Hey guys, how's it going? Today's video is going to be a TBR. I realized that the second last video I made before my hiatus was a TBR video I filmed back in February of 2021. So it has been almost exactly 5 years since I did my last TBR video, and I just thought that was kind of interesting. So here's another one. This is going to be my TBR for January and February. Partly because we're already into January, I'm filming this on the 5th, I think, and February's missing a couple days anyway, so I just thought I'll combine the 2 months and this would be my TBR for both. I don't want to push it. Like, I want a TBR to be exciting and something that will, like, get me looking forward to specific books, not something that would be like overwhelming or too much pressure. I picked out 6 books, all from my physical shelves. I mentioned in my 2026 goals video that one of my main goals for this year would be reading 30 unread physical books from my shelves. So if I read 6 of them in 2 months, then that puts me one ahead of schedule, and that sounds like a great way to start. My first pick was pretty easy. I already knew it was going to be the first book I read this year, but that is The Odds by Lindsay Puckett. If you watch my videos, then you probably know who Lindsay Puckett is, but in case you don't, she is a fellow author tuber and a middle grade author. I feel like she writes the perfect books for like us weird kids, you know? On top of that though, she is just an amazing human. She is so freaking funny. Her videos are like always entertaining. The way that she like approaches things and explains things, like, she is awesome. I'm going to leave her channel link down below, but highly recommend. The Odds is about a girl with debilitating chronic pain who is growing up in a retirement home. It seems like it's full of like magic and weird old people, and that is totally my jam. She hasn't gotten her oddity yet, some sort of magic power, so she's going on a quest to find, I think it's like a magic item that will help reveal what her oddity is. So she's going on a quest for a magical item and adventure ensues. Honestly, it just sounds so much fun. Like, I've been listening to Lindsay talk about this book for so long. I went a few years without buying any new books, but recently, to like celebrate how good my mental health is and how like hard I worked on getting myself back up to this point, I decided to reward myself with buying a new book, finally, and this is the one that I picked. It just seemed like so perfect. Not only, you know, is it a book from someone that I consider a friend, and like, that's just so freaking cool, but this book also just seems like so up my alley. I think that it'll just like really hit in all the right ways. I am so excited for it. And I was gonna read it as soon as I got it in the mail, but I decided to hold off for a month or two so that I could start the year with this book, starting off with something that I already know I'm gonna love and that I'm really excited for. I think it's just gonna like kickstart my year in such a great way. Honestly, I'm probably going to start it as soon as I finish recording this video, but this is going to be obviously the first book I read this year. The second book on my TBR is one that I intended to read in November and just never got around to. That is Tales from the Hinterland by Melissa Albert. I read The Hazelwood a few years ago and really enjoyed it. In the world of that story, there's these like creepy fairy tales and stuff that they mention throughout the story. So this is a short story collection of those fairy tales. I'm not sure if these fairy tales are specifically mentioned in those books or not. I don't 100% remember what they were called or anything, or if it's just like similar vibes. But either way, I think that's really cool. I really liked the author's writing in the other books, and I really like dark fairy tales and stuff. So I think I'll enjoy this regardless. There's also really cool illustrations on like the title pages of each story. Like I mentioned, I was gonna read this in November. It was around the time that I started rewrites for Monsters and Imaginary Friends, which is dark, fantasy, kind of the creepier end of whimsical sometimes vibes. I thought this could be really fun and like inspiring to get me into that headspace. I didn't have time to get to it in November, but I'm still interested, so I thought I'd just add it to this list. Lately, if I don't have like a big chunk of time, like if I only have an hour or something, I don't bother starting anything. And I really want to get that habit back. Like, I used to be able to do that all the time, but now it's like, oh, well, if I can't read for 7 hours straight, what's the point? So where this is a short story collection, I think it'll be good to maybe try to like get me back into that habit, or I'll get carried away and accidentally read the whole thing in one sitting. But we'll see. I'll let you know. I have a reading prompt bingo card that I'm using this year. I actually made it like 3 years ago and just never used it because of my reading slump. So I moved into my goals journal just to see if it maybe will help me like feel a little inspired. I'm going with the corners because I feel like that's just, you know, good bingo strategy. The first prompt is a book from the 2010s. This is the one I'm the most unsure about. I haven't heard a lot of good things about this book. I've had it on my shelf for so long and just kept not wanting to read it. So I thought if I put it on my list right now, it'll give me one last chance to either read it or get rid of it or whatever. I'm giving myself permission ahead of time that if I want to DNF it, if I want to unhaul it, that's totally fine. I'm not going to let this book get me into a reading slump. I'm realizing this is such a horrible way to introduce a book. I don't think I'm going to hate it. I'm just keeping my expectations low. The book is I Am Number 4 by Pittacus lore. Oh, that rhymes. Well, that's interesting. I'll be honest, I haven't heard a lot about the book itself, but I worked at the movie theater when the movie came out, and the movie flopped. I heard so many, disappointed reviews from people, coming out of the theater. Normally, though, when stuff like this happens, a lot of the feedback that I hear over and over and over again is, oh, the book was so much better, or oh, it wasn't nearly as good as the book, oh, they ruined this part. I didn't hear any of that. It was all people that hated the movie and didn't have anything nice to say about the book either. I saw this book secondhand for a couple bucks and decided to pick it up because I was curious and wanted to try it. But anytime I hear anything about this book, it's not good, but it does sound interesting. Apparently it's an alien invasion thing. I don't know if the humans are the good guys or the bad guys. I have the feeling we're the bad guys, but I'm not sure. 9 of us came here. We look like you. We talk like you. We live among you, but we are not you. We can do things you dream of doing. We have powers you dream of having. We are stronger and faster than anything you have seen. We are the superheroes you worship in movies and comic books, but we are real. Our plan was to grow and train and become strong and become one and fight them, but they found us and started hunting us first. Now all of us are running, spending our lives in shadows in places where no one would look, blending in. We have lived among you without you knowing, but they know. They caught number 1 in Malaysia, number 2 in England, and number 3 in Kenya. They killed them all. I am number 4. I am next. Dun dun dun! That sounds really exciting and dramatic. I really like aliens and invasions, and I love the whole, you don't really know which side is the good guy kind of vibe. I really like that. So it seems like something that will be up my alley. From the few people I know that have read this book, they've said that it's a bit too ridiculous, in a bad way, and that you have to go in with, very low expectations and just, don't question it, just enjoy the ride. So I think that if I go in with the right mindset, I think there's enough in here that hopefully I'll like it. The other reason why I picked this book is because I also have a movie bingo board that I also made at the same time as this one and never actually completed. But one of those squares is to read a book and then watch the movie adaptation. So this will be a square on both bingo cards. I'm excited to try it. I'm just trying not to get my hopes up because I'm still iffy about it. My next prompt was a title that begins with the letter O. And out of the unread books that I have, I only had a couple that fit this prompt, but I'm going with One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I loved Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I borrowed the audiobook from my library, cried my eyes out while reading it, bought the physical copy, reread it, cried my eyes out again. Absolutely adored that book, one of my favorites. I liked Daisy Jones and the Six, but it just didn't really do it for me. I loved the writing though. I thought that they just felt so, real and vivid. I felt like I could go out and, watch the movie or buy the album. It just felt so real. So I'm excited to give this one a try, even though plot-wise, this one really isn't what I would usually go for. It's about a woman who marries her high school sweetheart, and then, a year into their marriage or something, there's a helicopter accident, and his body is never found. He's presumed dead. And now it's 10 years later, she's in her 30s, she reconnected with an old friend, and they're now engaged, and things are kind of finally looking up for her. And then they find her husband alive, and he's been trying to make his way back to her, and now she has to decide basically which one to be with. I do love the trope of somebody goes missing or something, and then years later they're trying to get back to their old life, but everything has changed and they don't fit into their life anymore. I really like that trope, so I'm really excited about that aspect. I will say off the bat, I am not a romance person, and I'm usually not a love triangle person, so this isn't something I'd usually go for, but I love Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing enough that I think I have a good chance of liking it anyways. And the other thing is that I haven't been reading regularly in 5 years. that's plenty of time for my reading taste to change. Just because I wasn't into this kind of book 5 years ago doesn't mean I'm not going to ever give it another shot. And because it has tropes that I like, and I know that I love this author's writing and the way that she tells stories so much, I think this is a really good book to try to like, just give it a shot. Or maybe I'll hate it. Who knows? I'll let you know. My next bingo prompt was a book with cursive on the cover. I thought this was going to be easy, you know, even if it was just like the author's name or the tagline. Like, I just assumed this was going to be so easy to find. But out of all of the unread books on my shelves, like I took out each one and looked at the cover, there's only one that even kind of works, and it's a stretch. Luckily, that one option is a book that I am super excited for. That is Hollow Pike by Juno Dawson. But do you see what I mean? Like, I wouldn't consider that cursive. None of the letters are connected, but like, that is a cursive L. And like, the O's and stuff, like they have the little floops on them. So I'm deciding that it counts, but barely. I do want to mention, since I am holding the book up, I do keep saying Juno Dawson. I'm aware there's a different name on the cover. Don't worry, I'm not just like crediting the book to the wrong author. If you don't know, Juno Dawson is a trans author who transitioned a few years into her author career, and some of her old books are still released only under her old name. She's mentioned before that she doesn't mind, like she doesn't intend to go back and re-release her old books under her new name. So I just wanted to bring that up in case you think that I'm just like reading the name wrong over and over and over again, or like crediting the book to a different author. Like, don't worry, this is Juno Dawson, it's just under a different name because it's an older book. This is about a woman who moves out into the country to Hollow Peak to kind of like get away and have a fresh start and all of that stuff. And once she gets there, she recognizes the forests from these reoccurring nightmares that she has of somebody trying to kill her. And there's these like rumors and folktales about like something creepy going on in the woods, something sinister. And she keeps telling herself that she doesn't believe it, it's all stories, everything is fine. And then they find a body in the woods. It seems dark and creepy and maybe a little paranormal, which I'm really excited about. And I always really love the character that's so like, nothing's wrong, I'm not looking, I don't see it, everything is fine, and then the bad stuff happens. Like, I just always love that chain of events, so I'm really excited for this. I've read 3 or 4 of Juno Dawson's other books, and I've loved every single one so far. I don't think I've ever rated one of her books less than 4.5 stars. I absolutely adore Clean. It is probably one of my all-time favorite books. I feel like she writes like dark, ugly, but like really honest, like kind of vibes really, really well. Like I said, this is one of her older books, so I'm trying not to get my hopes too high because, again, I have adored every single thing that I've read from her so far, but it's really hard not to get my hopes up, especially when like the premise just sounds so interesting. She thought she'd be safe in the country, but you can't escape your own nightmares, and Lise London dreams repeatedly that someone is trying to kill her. Lise thinks she's being paranoid. After all, who would want to murder her? She doesn't believe in local legends of witchcraft. She doesn't believe that anything bad will really happen to her. You never do you? Not until you're alone in the woods, after dark, and a twig snaps. Hollow Pike, where witchcraft never sleeps. Like, doesn't that sound so good? Finally, the last book is for the reading prompt of A Second Chance. This is one that I started when I was trying to get out of my reading slump a couple years ago and was not successful. So now I'm going to try again, and that is In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. I have initially got about 1/3 of the way through, which is not bad. I'm really excited to try it again. Even though I apparently read like 100 pages of this, I remember nothing. Like, I couldn't even remember the synopsis until I looked it up right before filming. I'm really curious if once I start reading this, if it'll all start coming back to me. Apparently, it's about a reclusive author who gets invited to stay in this weird house in the middle of the woods, and then things happen, like a forgotten memory resurfaces and something is revealed, and then she wakes up 48 hours later in a hospital and somebody's dead, and now she's trying to go back and figure out what happened and what she did, etc. I think it'll be fun. I was obviously enjoying it if I got 100 pages in despite my reading slump, so I'm optimistic that I'll like this one. And again, I'm curious to see if I'll like start to remember things, or if maybe I'll remember like certain things and not others, and that will like affect my like guesses for solving the mystery. Like, I don't know, I'm curious, but I'm excited. And that is it. Those are the 6 books that I'm hoping to read in January and February. I am hoping to read more than that. I have a couple of audiobooks and I have a library book checked out right now that I'm hoping to get to very soon, in the next couple of days maybe. But either way, if I only read those 6 books, I will be satisfied and I'll be happy with that progress. If you read any of these books, you should definitely let me know. I would love to hear any like spoiler-free thoughts you had, or if there's any that you're like especially excited for, any that maybe you haven't read but you think look interesting. I'd love to hear all of that. Or just let me know what's on your TBR or what you are hoping to read next. Like, I just love talking books, you know that. But that is all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please click the like button to let me know, and subscribe to see if I read all these books and what I actually think of them, and just stay up to date with the rest of my videos. I post new videos once a week, usually reading or writing related, so I hope to see you guys next time, and until then, have a great day. Bye!